I know this, but it's not.
I keep this.
Something just changed, so,
Take my.
Struggling and got through, you're all good.
you too. I was showing that it's like kids that are not.
Really?
We can record it and, yeah, we can still upload it. This is a live stream.
I bring my table.
Are we gonna have ice cream?
Does sound good, doesn't it?
It sure does.
I'm gonna go get.
Yes.
We can all sit here licking ice cream cones. It's summer. I was just drinking lemonade, which I never do, but it was so sad. Ooh, where'd you get that? Oh, I bought some, and brought it from home, but. Nice. It was refreshing.
Okay.
Those are good in here. Yeah.
John.
No thanks.
Sure.
Laura,
Yes.
okay.
Just, yeah, there's.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
yeah.
There she is. How are things there?
Oh, they're good. It's been a little rainy here, but I'll take that.
Yeah.
Can you bring it home with you, please?
Yes,
I'll
bottle it
try.
up.
Wondering for some reason.
That's a real percentage of Forest County that has burned.
Yeah.
It's like.
Really,
It's
a whole
different
canyon too, just, it's going right up the canyon, it's very strange.
It's really.
Heartbreaking that,
Can't help to think that
I'll just-
because the river isn't able to flow anymore and there's no ground saturation, that's absolutely contributing to.
Nothing.
The scorching.
What do you think, Nancy, Carmen, should we try?
It's just, let's just go for it.
All right, let her walk. Ready when you are. Good evening and welcome, everybody. This is a special meeting of the San Miguel County Board of Commissioners. Today is July 8th, 2026, and it is 5:32 p.m. And we'll call this meeting to order and note that all three commissioners are present, as well as staff and members of the public. Welcome, everybody. We'll open our meeting with a moment of silence for grounding and gratitude. Everyone, we are lucky to be in Northern Colorado today. We'll proceed to item number 5, which is a review of this evening's agenda. Commissioners, do you have any proposed changes?
None for me.
No, sir.
All right, our agenda is set, and we'll move on to public comment for items not on the agenda. And I do not see any hands up in the room. I do not see any hands up on the Zoom call. So we will proceed on to the consent agenda. The only thing is our minutes from June 3rd. Does anybody have any suggested changes or corrections to those minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Just a clarification, June 3rd and June 17th.
I misread. Thank you.
Yep, and I have no questions. Make a motion
Please,
to approve the consent agenda as presented. I second that.
all those in favor?
Aye.
I as well. We will move now to administrative matters, and we are going to consider the appointment to the Planning Commission alternate seat. We have conducted interviews. We have a ballot in front of us, and it is ranked choice. And thank you, Jared, for creating this. At this point, let's take just a moment, fill in our ballots, hand them to Jared. He will tabulate and we will have an answer.
I imagine you were gonna say that, but just while we're filling time here, I was so impressed with these 4 candidates. Every one of them offers something different and meaningful to this position, and it's a tough choice, so I just wanna thank the folks who came forward.
You said that beautifully, Commissioner, and you are right. Thank you.
I also agree that there was so much experience and thoughtfulness in brought forward in resumes and interviews. And we are lucky to have 4 incredible candidates. And I wanted to say thank you to all 4 candidates for being willing to serve. And it wasn't an easy choice.
Never is.
No.
It's good to have a chance.
Yeah, sometimes we're scrambling for a choice, but not this time. Which is great.
And with that, commissioners, we do have a selection. Bradley Johnson has received 3 votes.
Johnson, you are on the call and congratulations.
Yeah.
If you care to unmute, we'll pop the champagne.
Yeah, commissioners, staff, I sincerely appreciate this opportunity to serve my fellow residents of San Miguel County, and I recommit myself to being someone who works for all of our good. And I'm very excited to be a part of the future of the county, working with you and all of those that are already experienced members of this commission to achieve our combined goals. So thank you so much for placing your trust in me. I look forward to serving, like I said, your interests and working with staff and the fellow commissioners. So thank you so much. If you're in Norwood this weekend, my wife and I will be unpacking on Saturday and hope to catch the fair on Sunday. So if I see you, I might approach and say thank you and shake your hand.
Please do, and thank you for stepping up and for all the time and energy that we know you're gonna put in.
Brad, are you aware that there is a joint meeting tomorrow of the Planning Commission and the BOCC?
I think I just saw that yesterday when I was reviewing the list of meetings. Unfortunately, the best I'll be able to do is to listen in. I'm hoping to be safely motoring across Nebraska with everything we own in a U-Haul to arrive there full-time and safely. But I will listen in. If I'm unable to listen in, I'll go back and rewatch it and link up with the commissioners afterwards. But thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah, sorry, it's kind of a last minute mention. And then Kay, I assume you'll let the other candidates know that we appreciate their applications?
Yeah, I'll send out emails to everybody and, yeah, Brad, there's always the YouTube video and, you did get a draft, of the materials, most of the materials for tomorrow. And you gave us some comments on that. So thank you for that. And, we'd be happy to catch you up on that as well.
That'd be
And
great.
then we'll do an orientation with you at some point.
Fantastic. And Kay, there's a good likelihood I'll be in Telluride this week. I don't know if that's where you office typically, but trying to get all of that fun paperwork, licenses and all that fun stuff. So if I make it up there, I'll reach out to you to say hi as well.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank
Thanks.
But eyes on the road and hands upon the wheels for him.
you. 100%.
All right. Thank you, and we will move on to item 7B
Can
now.
we do a verbal vote with that?
A formal motion.
You go for a
Let's make a
motion. Thank
formal
you.
motion to approve our selection of Bradley Johnson.
Yeah, I move to appoint Bradley Johnson to the San Miguel County Planning Commission
Second?
as an alternate seat.
Okay, junior alternate, do we need to say that?
I think
It is
Junior
junior
alternate.
alternate, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Motion carries. It is formalized. On we go. Presentation of the Placerville Fire Survey results. Mr. Biggs.
All right, commissioners, I will share the brief presentation I pulled together for this purpose. And so if you guys would watch the, hopefully there's no bouncing balls. Gotta get rid of my floating meeting controls. As they go with things. So just to set the table, after our Placerville meeting on May 27th, where we heard the proposal about the fire station 3, Telluride Fire Protection District, Station 3 remodel and training facility, remodel and training facility construction plan. We committed to send out a survey to not only our email list that we have for the Placerville community, but also to share it on social media and otherwise, just to get community sentiment on what are people thinking about this proposal, what things they like, what are things they don't like, to help the commissioners decide how they'd like to proceed. As you all know, we kind of have two interests here. First, we own the land that underlies the fire station. We received that land in 1990 through a patent from the Bureau of Land Management. And before that, we actually worked with the fire district to have our own lease from the BLM, which we then authorized the fire district to build a fire station there to conduct their activities. So we've got a long history of having a fire station at this location, and we wanted to get community sentiment about particularly the plan that was identified and what people liked and what they didn't. And so we published that survey on June 11th, closed that on July 3rd. So we had that open for a little over 3 weeks. And it was pretty good engagement. We had 93 responses. Most of them, 83 of those, were willing to share their emails and their names with those. So it was far from an anonymous survey. There were only 10 responses that were truly anonymous. So going through this survey, and because I know Commissioner Brown used to do this, I want to have good detail. We asked pretty much 5 questions. Where do you live? So we wanted to identify where exactly they had a stake. Were they aware of the proposal? After reviewing, we made a Likert scale. So from strong support, somewhat support, neither opposed or support, and somewhat opposed and strongly opposed. So we wanted to gauge their sentiments therein. Provide us your reasons for that support, and alternatively, provide us your reasons for opposition, and then any other considerations that they think the county should be considering regarding this. So with that, like I said, 93 responses, 18% of those responses, or 17 responses themselves, were identified as from the Placerville town site location. Another 36% or 33 responses identified that they lived in the 81430. That is not overlapping. So this is outside of the town site, but in the 81430 town or zip code. And then finally, 46% of the respondents, and that makes 43 responses, were from outside of the zip code. So that kind of gives you a landscape of how those responses came. And the first question of were you aware of this? Most folks said that they had heard of this proposal, which again, I think is a testament to the fire department reaching out and having some good materials. And I know they continue that effort of outreach currently. So, and please stop me if you have any questions. This is the real meat of things. I can say overwhelmingly, there was strong support for the proposal. 77% of all respondents supported or strongly supported, with 9 additional percent somewhat supporting. And then 8%, 2%, and 4% going further down that scale. I broke that down into those folks who do live in the 81430, inclusive of Placerville Town Site. And that was 60% support of that group, 16 somewhat support, and then further down the line. And then finally, in those responses from the Placerville Town Site proper, still 71% of those folks were strongly supportive. And then we see a little bit of a change. There was just one note here. There were no responses in the Placerville Town Site that responded that they somewhat opposed. So, and one, that strongly opposed 6% there is one. Not quite.
That's good to know.
So just to give you I guess, taste of the responses to reasons for support. I tried to summarize as best I could. The main reason was that folks recognize the need for training. And in many of these responses, they reference that they feel like the fire department needs training opportunities. They liked the aspect of the training. And further, they then said the location is a benefit both regionally and for folks in Placerville to have adequate fire service and coverage, right? And then finally, they recognized that there's a need for housing firefighters and that is a valuable aspect of this proposal. I put in a few direct quotes that I felt were relatively representative. Living down valley, we need to have more support when something happens. The 81430 area code is quite extensive. Having more constant first responders in our area will be the difference that results in saving properties and lives. So again, very positive statements. There was a multitude of them. And even folks who maybe signified that they were in objection also had positive comments of things that they were. On the other side, responses or reasons for opposition were generally that it's a difficult location, concerns about the impact on the park and community center. There were a lot of questions about the costs and the fire district's financial resources to support this operation. Concern for water resources in the Placerville area. And finally, the scale of the project. I can tell you there wasn't as many responses to this for opposition, but I tried to kind of pull together the through lines that existed in those responses.
I have a question. I remember looking at the site plan, and my understanding is that the new sort of addition to the Placerville Fire Department, that structure will all happen away from the park. It's not going to be encroaching anymore on the park. So I think that if someone has that concern, that might be a way to help address it. I can't recall exactly the location of the live training center relative to the park, but again, it's sort of tucked up against the canyon wall. So I hope people realize that this really won't encroach on the Placerville Park, as far as I know.
I'm interpreting this as potentially not encroaching on the park grounds, but it will be a bigger footprint, so therefore more personnel there at any given time, and it will just increase traffic.
Okay.
And I think just for what it's worth, I flipped over to other considerations. These are just comments that came from the open. Tell us what other things you think we should be thinking about. And I agree with Commissioner Gleason that some of the folks who identified either objection or just considerations are identifying traffic as a significant challenge. There's issues or there's at least some mentions of Front Street closing permanently being a kind of a detraction from the proposal. And that it just will make that corridor more busy if people are trying to go to the park or doing things. It'll just be a little bit tighter than it is today. So I know everybody wants it to be like it was 10 years ago, but also like today. Again, I just tried to give a little bit of a representative sample. This is not all of those responses. But you have some very positive things that it's a needed facility, that there's concerns about air quality, there's concerns about traffic, desire to make sure that the access off of Highway 145 is done thoughtfully and thoroughly, which we're engaged with CDOT and they are engaging in that effort. So nothing surprising in these other considerations that I think we weren't already having a conversation of. The only piece that I noted was in there was there were some folks who asked, were there any other locations considered? And I'm hopeful that maybe the Target Fire Protection District can answer that, just to be very clear and share that.
Have you shared the responses with the chief yet?
I sent that probably about 20 minutes ago.
Oh, perfect.
So,
So you can see all of the comments and.
yeah, I did not share the raw data in this slideshow presentation, but I can digest, I have a big spreadsheet and I can share all the comments with them. No problem.
That could be
Probably
helpful,
send them the spreadsheet.
unless you feel like they were well represented in what you said, maybe that's enough.
Well, I'm happy to just share alike and see, if they can get any kernels of value out of it, all better.
Did most of the respondents provide additional comments? Or what because there's the 5 questions and then space for additional comments. What percentage approximately of respondents actually gave commentary?
If I had to go from memory, I would say, and I guess I've got my sheet, I would guess somewhere around 85 to 90% of folks wrote something. Even if it was, there were some as simple as no. Right? And there are others that were, I really support this and John Bennett is my friend, right? And so they ranged widely. But again, I think the big takeaway is it was overwhelmingly positive, and not just overwhelmingly positive, survey wide, but overwhelmingly positive in those 81430 and Placerville Town site.
This is probably premature, but I'm just thinking about addressing concerns about traffic on Front Street, and I'm reminded again through the plan that there is a proposed entry from Highway 145 past the park that goes right into the station. So am I right? Right. So I wonder if that's possible for us to encourage those using, training and staying there to use that entrance as opposed to coming around the back. Or is that what the parking is?
I don't think they are designing it that way.
It's for the trucks.
They're designing it so that circulation can come in the back and go out. Instead of the alternative going in the front, so to speak.
Okay.
And then exiting the back, or kind of doing a U-E, so to speak. So I think it is being designed so that particularly their large apparatus, the big trucks, can pull through.
Yeah.
And ultimately the parking is all going to be kind of along that back wall.
Right.
And so I would envision that most folks are gonna roll into the site using Front Street and then roll out using the 145.
I see Kay Simonson has a hand up. Perhaps she wants to add a little more about some of the topics.
Yes, so just as a reminder, if they do go forward with this project, there will be a special use permit application, and all of these things that you're talking about are part of the criteria for that SUP. So, we've had pre-application meetings with them. They're aware of everything that they need to do and the criteria that they need to meet. So we're on it.
Thank you, Kay. I think instead of trying to host this application or application process now, we should simply thank Jared for pulling together all those results so clearly and file away in the back of our heads that, as he said, a majority of the local population is in favor of this project with some concerns that we anticipate the fire district will be trying to address.
And I think for our purposes, we kind of wear two hats in this exercise. One as a landowner and two as land use, right? And so the one thing, if you were prepared to do it tonight, is simply to give staff direction to keep proceeding with the, we have filed as staff a rezone application, and we continue to work with the fire district to, help them prepare and move ahead their application. We're preparing, and thank you to Maura, an IGA that will kind of be our operating agreement for this site moving ahead. And I just wanted to make sure that commissioners are giving the thumbs up to proceed in those efforts. I see 2, I see 3. That's all.
Official inspection.
All right, we'll move to item 7C. And I note that members of the public are coming in for a 6 o'clock listening session, so we will do our best to honor that time. If we do end up going over by a minute or two, please forgive us. This is item 7C, consideration of signing on to a comment on the proposed rule and regulation for federal financial assistance. And then there are a lot of numbers and et cetera, but Jared's going to walk us through what this is and how it could impact the county, and then we'll decide if we're going to sign.
Thank you, Commissioner Waring. So what this very somewhat arcane item is the Office of Management and Budget, otherwise known as OMB, kind of governs the way federal grants are the rules around them, right? And so there's a proposal right now in consideration for some uniform guidance changes. And those are that's what the uniform guidance is, what comes out on an annual or a biannual basis that kind of tells grantees how they need to manage money, spend, get indirect cost rate or rate recovery, other kinds of things when they have federal grants. So that's the big picture, and they're rewriting some rules. And there is some concern about that rule rewrite that has been expressed because there are perceived challenges with those rules and how we will have to deal with them. So to give you, and I'm using, I believe you all got the NACO analysis, the National Association of County analysis, and may have read it, but concerns about this are there are undefined terms, there are abilities being written in that can disallow spending that's previously been approved, reviews of grants that can be kind of ad hoc or even midterm. There are increased administrative burdens without the kind of being able to go get those dollars back to repay. So our finance department, as example, we do these projects every year to make sure we're getting dollars into our finance department for administering these kind of programs. And they're kind of locking everybody at 2024 levels with no ability or recourse to ask for kind of escalating price adjustments. Again, much of this has been kind of spelled out by some of our other counties. There was included a really great letter from Mesa County. And so what I think our proposal is, because the deadline to actually get our responses in, they had a pretty short window. And so that has to be done by the 13th. And so what our ask was going to be is if the commissioners agreed, we would get a similar letter drafted and send that letter. Just putting our concerns into the list that these amendments are moving very quickly and can have some negative impacts for our county among others.
Thanks, Jared. Commissioners, just overall, do you have any opposition to directing staff to write such a letter, which we could review on the double time and get out the door by the 13th?
I'm full support.
Yeah, full support. This is really concerning to me. The more I read into it, the more red flags I saw
All right,
flying
let's
around. So, yeah.
make a motion to that effect so that we can be official, and then Jared will work with Mike. I know that Grace has been providing some background information already about human services, so there will be a letter with statistics relevant to our county and how this is going to affect us, and we can look at it and get it out the door.
Great. And you might not have seen this because it came through late this afternoon, but Ramona and Rummel also provided
We've
some
got
stats as well. But
I'd entertain a motion, please.
Just one question. So Jared, will you put this into Google Docs for our editing process? I mean,
Yeah.
I just have a couple of insubstantial, but probably hopefully helpful suggestions.
Yeah, what I envision,
Not
we'll,
content.
we'll get it drafted with statistics as mentioned, we'll put it into Google Docs, get your review. And then have Commissioner Waring sign, and then we would ratify that formally at a following meeting.
Perfect.
Today is the 8th. Jared, do you anticipate this being drafted by the end of the week?
Yes.
Great. Commissioners, let's commit to reading and editing over the weekend and having a signature ready by Monday, end of business, so that we're well ahead of the deadline.
Maybe end of business East Coast time, just for.
yeah, because Monday is the 13th.
Oh,
So
right, I
that's
didn't do the math right.
yeah.
Let's say that Monday morning.
Yeah.
We have our homework done.
Sure.
Great. All right, I think we need a motion, please.
Okay, I move to give staff direction to prepare a letter commenting on the proposed rule regulation for federal financial assistance to CFR Part 200.
Second.
Mrs. David,
Aye.
Aye.
I as well, motion carries. We are done with the formal part of business, and we are on to the fun part, which is talking with some old friends. Welcome, folks. Good to see you, Tom. Hi, Tony. Again. Hello. Anita, glad you're here. This is pretty informal. Who wants to go first, and who's gonna say attaboy, and who's gonna say what you guys are terrible? Or both. Ladies first. Anita, do you have anything on your mind you'd like to
I
share?
think I was here mostly to listen, but you know me, I've gotta speak up.
Well, then why don't you come to this chair by that little round saucer disc, because then the folks on the Zoom can hear you. And that'll be easier.
Earlier, this month or late last month, I was in Telluride and I invited Mike and Jared to meet with me before this meeting out there on the end of Pine. County still owns the parcel behind my house, few acres, 3 or 4 acres. It's a beautiful parcel. And I know it's designated, it was purchased with money for housing, and eventually that's what it's gotta be unless some zoning change is made. And I also know we have challenges with money, with water here in Norwood, so building housing there is gonna take some time, but I mostly just wanted to show it off and just keep it on the radar, so to speak. And I don't know, the county probably doesn't have the staffing or the resources to build the housing themselves, but finding a partnership like you did with Pinion Park. You know what I'm passionate about, and that's the cottage housing. And it's ideal for that location because of it being further out. I like the scale of the homes to be smaller and lower and more in line with the landscape. Because the views are so beautiful and the wildlife. But it's very doable, and there is an alley behind my house that we kind of jointly own, the county and all the neighbors there. It'll get widened when the parcel is developed, and so you'd have access along the upside. It's a very sloped parcel, by the way, very, very sloped, much more sloped even than Pinion Park was. So building along the upside of the parcel seems to make sense. I just love the thought of building housing. It's my passion. So I just wanted to keep it on your radar for the future when water, maybe we solve some of our water issues and can get some taps. Anyway,
Is that the parcel adjacent to Pinion Park?
it's the one, well, I could say behind, it would be south of Pinion Park, all the way back to the fence line, basically, and adjacent to where the school is being built.
Okay, that's.
Yeah.
Like.
It's a beautiful parcel, and it's being used. Actually, it isn't being used that much. There's a trail now that a lot of us in the neighborhood have created. And I actually built a little bridge across the ditch at the bottom of it that went over to the old Frisbee golf course. And it got used very heavily. And it still can be used now because the school is not developing the backside of their parcel there. They're keeping it pretty raw land, it looks like. But this is a beautiful location. And then going along with that idea, I've talked to Janet Kask about this, and I know it would be something the town of Norwood would have to be a part of, but a passion for a perimeter trail around the town. That old parts like me can use and ride our bikes. And
I recently attended the Norwoods Park and Rec Master Plan visioning gathering, and that perimeter trail is one of the #1 priorities for the Park and Rec department, and there's a lot of energy and movement towards that goal, and I feel like it's going to be quite attainable, and where and how the county can potentially help, I would very much advocate for.
yeah, and it's really just the parcel that you own. And then there is a open space easement along that south edge of those properties. And the Mountain Villages parcel that goes all the way over to the Thunder Road. I don't know my county road numbers, the medical center road. That easement, open space easement, extends all the way over to that road. And I know some people talk about a perimeter trail that utilizes the actual county roads, which would be okay, not quite as safe. I'm talking about more like not a paved trail, possibly something equestrian too, like really multi-use.
The trail aspect sounds like it's gonna be handled at the town park and rec level.
Yes, and also
Commissioner Grayson's,
with health though, and that's where, I guess why, the reason I come to the county is these entities, even the town of Norwood, they just don't seem to have the bandwidth sometimes, because they've been talking about this for a really long time, you guys. And it's gonna take the county helping, and I know it's not your sole responsibility, it's not what I'm proposing, but it's gonna take the county helping to get some of these things accomplished.
I think Commissioner Grayson's offer of support from both her personally and from the county was.
Yeah, and it's a future thing too.
Right, well, I was encouraged to hear and see the plans that have been laid out over the years, but a real emphasis and what I would call prioritization of that perimeter trail is something that Norwood Park and Rec is really focused on, and there is a new chair, and he seems very motivated and starting a young family here.
So I was really encouraged, and offline I can share with you all of the notes and the
Yeah,
takeaways from.
I've seen some of the plans, the town's plan. That they had developed, but again, you know. Being somebody that likes rubber to the pavement,
Yeah, and it might be.
I just like to see progress sometimes and not always just. But it's gonna take, but see, we could all help each other with the grant funding, you know, applying for grants and supporting each other's grants. But, anyway, that's it. And I think it would really complement the school too. A trail could really complement the school and the library and everything over there. Anyway, that's it for me.
Gentlemen, do you want to Rochambeau or who would like to speak next?
I'm saying. I guess it's good to be here. Thanks for.
Thank you.
I'm just curious.
Do you want to come?
Oh, okay.
Swap box? Oh, I wish we could bring it to you. It's got a.
No, that's okay. I know.
Good to see you up and at 'em, Tony.
Yeah.
Once I'm up, I'm okay. Okay. Good to be up and about. Yeah. It's been a long road to get here, that's for sure. I don't have an axe to grind or anything like that. I just wanted to get feedback from you guys on this land use code amendment. Are you free to speak about that at a listening session, or it's coming up before you next week? Some of us
Yeah,
aren't gonna
probably
be here.
Better to do it at the meeting that has that
Yeah.
agendized than to start riffing.
I guess
early.
maybe,
We could listen to your
Yeah,
thoughts.
yeah.
and-
well, we're, I think, here to listen more for you guys' thoughts. You know, I don't know the genesis necessarily, but
Tony, sorry, which one are you speaking of? We're working on like 4 or 5 different, the non-conforming lots.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that one specifically. I think the concern on the Mesa is that it opens the floodgates to unplanned and unwise development. From a lot of standpoints, just, you know, it's kind of a spot zoning up zone. It has the potential of affecting water on the Mesa, not only potable, but also raw water, the irrigation water. I'm not sure that our road infrastructure is built to handle little enclaves of commercial enterprises scattered all over the Mesa. You know, I think we just went through this long process for this whole West End vision, which I think came up with some really good, concrete, actionable items, as well as just a kind of a philosophical view on how we want things to go forward. And spot zoning and upzoning and enclaves of commercial enterprises scattered everywhere is not part of that vision. You know, I think that vision is more in line with keeping things clustered, keeping things close to existing infrastructure, i.e. the towns, and trying to preserve as much as possible the beautiful open space that we've all grown accustomed to, and that harbors an incredibly diverse, biodiverse ecosystem. In addition to the, you know, preserves agriculture, which obviously I have a vested interest in. So, you know, I just think we need to be really careful when we're considering something like this. And I don't know if the genesis to it was to try to correct past mistakes where things kind of slipped through, and now it's just going to be this blanket, let's just let everybody do it, or if there's some other kind of solution that maybe, I don't know what that other solution is, because this thing already exists, right? So I think you've got a real challenge on your hand. Is it too late to rein it in? You allow the existing uses, you know, to grandfather them, or are you just gonna open the floodgates? You know, I don't know. So.
Mr. Biggs.
If I may, because this is agendized as a land use item next week, I don't think it's appropriate for us to respond, or
Okay.
commissioners to respond
I
to you.
understand.
I think we strongly encourage
Yeah.
Tony, that you attend that meeting and also give this feedback there.
There's just no way we.
And
This is, we
But
just.
you guys are you
Yeah.
listening?
I'm
It's
sitting
just a
here
listening
listening,
session.
taking notes, so,
Okay, okay.
We got you.
Okay.
yeah.
I have a follow-up question. I think that's probably okay. What do you mean when you refer to it as spot zoning?
You know, Ken, maybe you can speak to it as to what is, you know, there's a lot of non-conforming lots, right? That have been subdivided, I don't know if that's the right word, that, you know, have snuck through the process and that allow commercial enterprises. So, you know, so they end up getting scattered all over.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what there's a spillover into housing with that. I don't know. I don't know.
That helps, thanks.
Okay. The only other comment, this is like sharp turn off of this subject that I just talked about, it's just fire. And I think, wildfire in particular. A few of us, sent the sheriff a letter just requesting a meeting, with Shannon and the sheriff. I think you guys may have been recipients. To just kind of go through a little bit of what the protocols are, how the community's gonna be informed. God forbid. And it's not just Norwood, right? I mean, we're all exposed to what's going on. I mean, I heard from the Forest Service yesterday, the forests are the driest they've been in 75 years. So, you know, all it's gonna take is one little spark. You know, fires we've got now is not the end of the story. This could get a lot worse before it gets better. But you know, we're seeing that Ferris fire kind of creeping north and northeast, kind of in that direction. They've already got like a zone designated for Miramonte. There's a zone for, I think, top of Thunder Road, Groundhog Reservoir, you know, so there's stuff going on out there, and there's some zones further east as well. You know, if you look at the map, it looks like it's kind of curving to the northeast, which I think puts some of the mesas and maybe Placerville at play, or the San Miguel Canyon. But anyway, you know, I just think there's this feeling that, and if you go to the sheriff's, you know, without demeaning what they're doing, but if you go to their Facebook page, it says there are no active wildfires in San Miguel County, as if that's going to relieve us of any kind of anxiety about wildfires. Fires don't know political boundaries, you know, so I just think preparation's everything, and the more prepared we are, I think better off we're all gonna be. And we don't know what the plan is, you know, if there is a plan.
Tony, did you hear about the two meetings that, the Tara Foundation organized, where Shannon spoke and West Region Wildfire spoke, the chief spoke, and they went over a lot of this, if not all of it. And I know, I believe one of them was recorded. I
Okay,
think it was the one, I attended one at the Wilkinson Public Library, and it was outstanding. I mean, it
Okay.
went over, it showed evacuation routes, it talked about alert systems. So let me see if I can track down, that's our
is
new.
it maybe on this? You upload it to this
Well,
website?
but that is an outstanding resource too. I've been using it myself the
Okay,
last few
this
weeks.
is the first.
Yeah, Tony's talking about, he's holding up a little flyer with the link to, or the address of the county's new wildfire website. And it's extremely comprehensive in terms of telling us how to prepare, and how to sign up for alerts. It does have evacuation information there. It's extremely